How to teach English with a global perspective. Hello, my name is Jorge Ulloa and I am an English teacher living and working in England. I have been teaching English for 34 years. I have taught in Peru, Italy, and England. As this is part of the International WhatsApp podcast webinar, I look forward to reading your comments and answering your questions. I've divided my talk in three parts. In part 1, I will talk about my experiences as an EFL student in Peru and also as a postgraduate student in England. In part 2, I will discuss my experiences as a teacher of English in Peru, Italy, and England. In part 3, I will share some ideas about how we can prepare students to function effectively in a world where English is the most important language. Let's start with my experiences as an EFL student in Peru. My first experience of the English language was listening to my sister trying to learn the song O Carol by Neil Sedaka. I must have been about 3, and my sister was getting frustrated because she was trying to learn the lyrics of the song and she couldn't remember them. And I was 3, as I said before, and I was playing with a toy car, and after 10 or 15 minutes I started singing the song, and my sister was surprised and she told my parents. And that was the moment when my parents realized that I really loved the English language. There is something about this language that I really like. I like the sounds of it, I like the structure, I like the stress time rhythm, etc. Anyway, because I like the language, my parents supported me and I studied in the usual places, IBNA, Britannico. And by the time I was 20, I was already teaching English in school. At 26, I came to the UK and I studied a postgraduate diploma in TESOL at the University of Manchester. I was very grateful that my teachers in Peru had prepared me for all the academic work that had to be done at this level. I could understand everything my lecturers said, and also my friends, my classmates. But there was a problem. I felt completely unprepared to understand regional accents, regional variations. I had a lot of difficulty understanding Cockney accent, for example, in East London. I had also problems understanding some Mancunian accents because there's more than one. My landlady, for example, was very difficult to understand. When I arrived, she told me that there was an eater in the room, an eater. And I thought, well, an eater is someone who eats. Why do I need an eater in my room? And then I realized that in some English varieties, people don't pronounce the H, and the word heater becomes eater. And because it's eater, it's not the eater, but the eater, and so on. So I'll leave that there for now. I will come back to it because I'm moving on. I'm moving on as I said before, to my experience as a teacher of English. I taught English in Peru at the age of 20. I was very young, and some of my students were not motivated. I remember one student coming to me once and saying, "We are poor people. Why are you teaching us English? We are never going to go anywhere." And that made me think, I need to teach them something relevant. So I taught them songs. You're the One That I Want, Summer Nights, The Time of My Life, Honesty, Billy Joel, and just I would like to share this with you as well, that only yesterday one of my students, someone I taught in 1988, wrote to me and said, I found this song on YouTube and I thought of you. It was the song The Time of My Life. That song is the soundtrack of the film Dirty Dancing. And that was a nice moment that after so long, a student who is now a father and grandfather still remembers that moment, that memorable lesson. Anyway, let's move on. In England, it was a fantastic opportunity and a good example of globalized world. Because in England, I had the opportunity of teaching asylum seekers, refugees in the mornings. In the afternoon, I would teach people who came from all over the world to learn CAD, PET, Certificate Advanced Proficiency because they wanted to go to university. But perhaps the most interesting experience was to do some teacher training. I was teaching once a week Sir TESOL, that is the equivalent of CELTA, and that was a great experience because I was teaching how to teach and sharing experiences with students who wanted to become English teachers, mainly in Thailand and Spain. Then Italy. Italy, I only spent 8 months in Italy and I taught at the British School of Turin and University of Turin. Again, it was different. Students there were more aware of accents because times have moved on. That was 2015, 2016. And even though they wanted academic English, they wanted the good English, and they were mainly advanced level, there was an awareness of accents because Italy is near England, really. And many of them had been to England and had heard accents that sound nothing like the books, the CDs that come with the books. Finally, let's talk about how can we prepare our students for a world where English is the most important language. It is the language of aviation, maritime communication. I would like to divide this in two again. First, I want to get the accents and register out of the way. And I think it's important. Some teachers will say, I have no time for that, but I think if you can just touch on accents, your students will be thankful forever. YouTube, the internet are a fantastic place to find regional varieties. And don't forget the non-native speakers. Sometimes we concentrate too much on, well, British, American, Australian. But don't forget that the majority of people who speak English are not native speakers. I remember I was hired once to teach salsa, Peruvian salsa, in Germany by high school, and I went and I taught Peruvian salsa in English. So the majority of exchanges are in English, but amongst non-native speakers. The Chinese businessman talking to the Nigerian businessman, and so on. Songs. I want to go back to songs, as I've told you the story of my student coming back to me. Songs are fantastic. Songs have the ability to transport students to a different reality. Suddenly, they are Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta singing You're the One That I Want. Songs are like a time capsule. A song will tell you about the culture, the traditions, the beliefs of the time, the variety of the time. Maybe there was a word in fashion. That's something else I want to talk about. 2 years ago here in England, the word in fashion was random. Everything was random. But again, I know we cannot prepare students for everything, but if we can give them a little taste of many things, they will really appreciate it. Now, let's move on to the serious stuff. Again, I'm pleased to say that when I look at the advanced English books nowadays, I can see serious topics like global warming, the environment, recycling, migration, racism. But I would like to add what's happening now. My students in Turin, in Italy, loved because I had a fantastic classroom with a Promethean board, and I would just go to the BBC and we would watch the headlines together, and they loved it because they felt it was real, it was now, it was controversial, non-scripted. They really, really loved it. And I would like to carry on, but I have no time. I've only been given 15 minutes and I'm nearing the 12th minute now. I must conclude by thanking True Vision English College, TruVic, for this fantastic opportunity. And I would like to say that this is just the beginning. This is just like the opening of a conversation that will take place on WhatsApp on Saturday, the 7th of November 2020. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.